Hi, hello, and welcome along to Sportsbet TV. Paul Alster here with you, looking ahead to Saturday, the 30th of October. I'm not in my usual office location because I'm away on my travels for the next 3 weeks or so, but I will be reporting in with suggestions for you for your punting, and I hope that you'll be staying with me throughout that period as the jump season really does get underway. And if you're new to the service here at Sportsbet, this is all about picking horses at decent each way odds, some of them big prices, and it's a formula that's proved to be a great success over the last 18 months or so. And if you're new, please press the subscribe button just below this screen so you'll be able to follow all of my bulletins wherever I'm broadcasting them to you from. Well, let me just tell you that I have 3 selections for you this week. A very quick word about last week, where out of the 4, we only actually got 2 runners because poor old Blacko was withdrawn after unseating rider on the way to post. One of those things, it can happen to anybody. Best jockeys in the world have been unshipped and the horses have run loose, even in classics. So no blame apportioned there. And also Trucker's Lodge didn't run either. But the 2 that did run ran well without winning. Born Patriot, who I recommended at 8-1, the Irish horse for Peter Fahey. Well, he was a huge gamble. I mean, you were on at the value if you followed me. And that's half the battle, getting in with the early odds, getting the prices, getting the market right. Recommended at 8-1, he returned at 18-5, which is a bit like 7-2 and a bit of change in old money. He ran really well. He was second at Cheltenham. He was beaten by a good horse on the day, but I was pleased with the way he ran, and it was an each-way profit. And then the other one was Takarib Bay, who ran in the Horace Hill Stakes down at Newbury, recommended at 14-1. Now, he finished third, but there was a non-runner there, and I know some firms were only paying out in the end for 2 places. I was fortunate because my bookie did pay out the 3 places, so it turned into a very nice each-way place bet, but I'm sure some of you would have been undone by that, and that's a shame. But let's hope that your bookmaker, whoever you were with, was generous enough to pay out on the 3 places there if you bet it early. Anyway, so those were last week, so they were there or thereabouts, and I'm sure you got a big shout. I know Takarib Bay traded odds on at 2-7 in running inside the final furlong. He only got run out of it in the last 7,500 yards or so. Now, if you're interested in shorter prices, then you may well know that over the last few months, I've started offering my thoughts at freebets.com, also here at YouTube. So do check that out, because if you're interested in adding horses into doubles and trebles that are more prominent in the betting, then you'll find, for example, this week, there'll be 3 selections offered across the racing at Ascot and Weatherby. Meanwhile, here at Sportsbet, my 3 runners this weekend are at Weatherby, Ascot and Down Royal. And let's get on with it, because the first is at Weatherby, my home track, the A1 track, even though they widened the A1 and took a bit of the bottom bend of the track, but they've had to just realign that. And it's the Weatherby 120, 2 miles, 3.5 furlong handicap chase, 13 runners. Going forecast is good, but it is expected to be rainy. It does rain sometimes in Yorkshire, believe it or not, and they're expecting a bit of proper rain, a bit of the wet stuff. So that could change the ground, but of course it can sometimes be hit and miss. Now, this is a race for horses rated up to 125. So these are horses, some of whom are on the upgrade from the lower ranks, and others have been higher up the pecking order and are on the way down. So it's the convergence of the twain kind of thing. And it is an open affair, 4-1 the field, and the favourite at the time of this recording, Thursday afternoon, from the continent of Europe, is Jericho Rouge, who was 2 from 3 over hurdles last term for David Pipe, and that included winning his only start in a handicap off 117. Now, it's very interesting, this horse. He's gone up here to make his chasing debut off 124. No novices, no beginners chase, straight in there in a handicap, which suggests they think they've got him on a decent mark, and they don't want to expose him in novice chases because he might get a higher handicap mark down the line. But the yard, the David Pipe stable, has been rather quiet of late, so the horses just aren't quite firing on all cylinders in my view, and because of that, I'm overlooking him. Now, another horse that I had a good look at is a horse called Seeyouatmidnight, for Colin Tizard. He's a potential improver, in particular because he's wearing blinkers for the first time, and that could really make him buck his ideas up. But in the end, my choice is Revels Hill, who is trained by Harry Fry and is the mount of Jonathan Burke. And this horse has a very, very similar profile to Jericho Rouge. But the difference is that the yard is in much better form. So it's worth bearing that in mind. Now, this horse won a Warwick handicap hurdle in April over 2 miles, 5 furlongs last season off 116. And he starts his chase career, again, first time in a handicap, no novices chasing, no beginner's chase, just straight into a handicap of 123. And I think Harry Fry is trying to exploit a potentially lenient mark. And remember, this horse also has won a point-to-point. So it's not as if he's never seen a fence before. He has won in a point-to-point. And a horse who I'm sure was bought to make a chaser, not a hurdler. And that's why I think he's going to go really well. He's got a lot going for him, in my view, and any ease in the ground won't be an issue, I don't think. And he's 6-1 with William Hills each way, and they're offering 4 places. Remember to shop around, check the odds comparison sites, check firms that will either give you better odds or better place terms, and then make your choice about where you want to play. But I'll be looking for the 6-1 at least. This is very early betting on Thursday afternoon for Saturday. Revels Hill at Weatherby in the 120 for Harry Fry and Jonathan Burke. And so we move on to my second choice, which is down at Ascot. And at Ascot, the 245 is a 2 mile, 1 furlong listed handicap chase, 10 runners. They're forecasting good to soft ground there. And this is a really good race because you've got the top weight horse called Editor de Gite, trained by Gary Moore. And by the way, you probably saw Joshua Moore had a horrible fall just the other week. And the poor lad had his operation cancelled 4 times before he eventually got surgery. I think it was on Wednesday. Poor lad. And let's hope that he recovers as quickly as possible. But that was really an unhappy situation for the Moore family. Gary trains Editor de Gite, who's rated 140 and has gone up £8 since he won the Red Rum Handicap Chase Grade 3 at Aintree last April. So he's a very good horse. He beat Sully Dock that day, but Sully Dock reopposes on worse terms because he himself went on to win at the Punchestown Festival at the end of April last season. It'll be very interesting to see how those two run comparatively, one against the other. Now, last year, this race at Ascot was won by Amula Gold, who's back to try and repeat the feat. He was off £14 lower, though, a stone lower last year. He went on to finish a very good next second to first flow over the course and distance at Ascot, so shows he goes really well around here, and he is a danger. And then you've got One for Rose for Kim Bailey, very unexposed novice, one that could be an improver. And you've also got Sam Thomas's Grey Diamond, a horse who's respected. And Sam Thomas doing really well now after a very quiet start as a trainer, of course, best known as the jockey of the Great Denman. But he had a hard time when he started out training, but now things are starting to happen for him, and it's really good to see. But I'm not with him. I'm with a horse that most people will probably have dismissed first, if not second, then probably first when they looked at this race. But as regular followers will know, I have a different way of looking, particularly at handicap races. My choice is Mengley Khan, who's trained by Nicky Henderson himself and is the mount of James Bowen. Now, this horse is 8 years old, used to be trained in Ireland by Gordon Elliott and ran in the colours of Michael O'Leary's Jigginstown House stud. Now, he's been very smart in his time. He was third in the Grade 1 JLT Novice Chase in 2019 at Cheltenham. He was third in the Grade 1 Aintree Novice Chase a few weeks later. And then in the summer of 2019, he was a good ninth in a red-hot renewal of the Galway Plate. He went on in 2020 to beat a horse who I tipped on this service last year, Live, Love, Laugh. Of course, went on to win the Topham Trophy in 2021. He beat him by 26 lengths off levels at Ballinrobe in September of last year. So it shows that just 13 months ago, he was still able to produce very, very good form. But then he joined Nicky Henderson, had a very quiet season last year, ran a couple of jumpers, bumpers. He joined Nicky in November of 2020. And he just had a very quiet time. Whether he struggled to acclimatise, I don't know. But the top and bottom of it is that he's been dropped £10. He's now down to 140. Now, this is the kind of mark that a horse like Mengley Khan a year ago would have been, if not a good thing, then he would have certainly had an outstanding chance. And I'm prepared to say that if he's with one of the greatest jumps trainers of all time, who is persevering with him, has got him down to a really good mark, I believe that this horse could run far better than his form figures suggest. And I think he's got a sporting chance. And the other point that really turns me on to him is that when you look back at his career profile, there are some horses that really go best when fresh. And this is the case with Mengley Khan, because not 1, 2, 3, or 4, but 5 times after coming back from a notable break, he's won. And so I think if there's a time to catch him, then it's going to be on Saturday, first time back after quite a long break. And the odds on offer at the time of this recording Thursday afternoon are 25 to 1. And that is offered each way with Bet365. So I just think that, you don't have to go in heavy, just a little bit each way. But I do think Mengley Khan, if he can recapture his old form, nice and fresh, first time out for the great Nicky, I think he's worth a chance at Ascot in the 245. And then I'll take you on to my final selection on Saturday. It is a similar type, really, to Mengley Khan. And this is at Down Royal in Northern Ireland. The 4 o'clock race is a 3-mile handicap chase. There are 14 runners. The going is yielding to soft. Now, at the time of this recording, there are no odds available whatsoever with any firm. They always price up later in Ireland, normally Friday evening. So do keep your eyes out for prices going up. So I'm going to go straight to my selection, because there's no point rattling through when we don't have much of a handle on the market. And the horse that I go with here is called Majurca, or Majurca, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it, Majurca, trained by Aidan Howard in Ireland, and the mount of a very good young Irish jockey called Simon Torrance, who's a really, really up-and-coming star jumps jockey, rides a lot for JP McManus, who owns this horse, Majurca. And this is a 7-year-old gelding, a French-bred 7-year-old. He won 2 of his 5 races in France as a 4-year-old back in 2018. And he also finished that season finishing 4th in a Grade 3 at Auteuil in Paris, which is a real preparation ground for a lot of horses that come over to Britain, as I'm sure many of you know. He went on to join Joseph O'Brien, no less, and Joseph must have seen in him something very special, because his first run in Ireland was in a Grade 1 at Limerick on Boxing Day of 2018, when he was starting to make a move from the rear of the field in a red-hot novice chase when he took a tumble. So that was unfortunate, wasn't it? Anyway, then he went on to finish 5th in a Grade 3 at Naas in January of 2019. And then obviously something went wrong with the horse. He was off for 2 years. We didn't see him, didn't hear of him. And when he did reappear, it was with a new trainer, with Aidan Howard, who has him now. Now, he's had 3 runs since the turn of the year of 2021, and they've all been over hurdles, which isn't what he's about. And he's made very little impression. He was out with the washing on the first of them, and he's pulled up on his last 2 starts of last season. So on the face of it, a horse who doesn't look to have much chance. People might say, well, he's gone at the game, he's out of form. But remember, this is a horse who was introduced in a Grade 1 in Ireland not that long ago, and he's making his handicap bow, his first ever run in a handicap in Ireland, and he's off 116. Well, a proper Grade 1 contender will be at least rated 150, going up to 160. So obviously, he hasn't lived up to expectations. I think that goes without saying. But 116, he's owned by the shrewdest punter that probably there's ever been, JP McManus. He's got a talented trainer who's very good at getting them ready, and a keen, hungry, and very capable young jockey in Simon Torrance. So it wouldn't be a surprise to me to see Majurca run a big race and outrun his odds. First time in a handicap, back over fences for the first time for his new handler. And so one other point that's in his favour as far as the punting is concerned is that the first colours of JP McManus in the race, carried by Mark Walsh, are on Liz Doyle's Envol Pieggi. So I think most punters will be looking at that horse and discounting Majorca, especially with the 2 pulled ups next to its name. So I'm just making a guesstimate as to what the market may be. And I'm suggesting that 16 to 1 each way would be a price that might get me interested to have a bet. We'll only know more once the market opens, but certainly I'd be interested in an each way punt on Majorca and shop around and see what you can find. It would not surprise me at all to see him run far better than his form figures indicate. And so he's the last of my 3 for Saturday. Some very decent priced horses. Let's hope they run well. Remember, if you're interested in shorter priced runners, then over at freebets.com, you can find those. They'll be up in due course. But for me, Paul Alster here on my holidays, but happy to be with you at Sportsbet TV. I'll say goodbye. Enjoy this weekend. Let's hope it's not too wet, and let's hope the racing lives up to expectations and we get at least a little bit of a shout from those 3 I've suggested this time around. That's it for today. Bye-bye for now. Take care.